Hi, how's it going there, West London Free School? I'm here today to talk you through this week's art task, which has been set on Satchel 1. Now, if you're in Year 7, this video should be playing in Miss Stewart's lesson, and if you're in Year 8, you'll be in my lesson on a Wednesday, and this will be playing in my lesson, and if you're in Year 9, you'll be in Miss Barrett's lesson, which is on a Thursday, and she'll be playing this in her lesson. Although you're being taught by different teachers sometimes, and also different teachers are kind of like producing videos of different tasks, your normal teacher will set your work on Satchel 1 for you, and you must submit your work to your normal teacher, and they will mark it, and of course they know you. So you can get feedback from them about your work. The feedback that they get will come back to whichever teacher is teaching you. So it's just worth bearing that in mind, okay? Right, I'm going to start by sharing my my screen here and showing you the Satchel 1 page for this task. So let me just make this full screen and get rid of the sidebar. My cat's just decided to arrive. Okay, so here we go. Task description. Take and edit a series of photographs linked to the theme of supermarkets and groceries. These can be taken at home in your kitchen and/or whilst visiting a supermarket or convenience store with your family. You know, I'm going out once every other day or so to get a bit of shopping and do a bit of exercise. I'm sure things are similar with you. If you need to get it done at home, I'm sure you can, but I think it could also be really interesting just to take a few photos when you're out and about. So down here, there are a few tips on how you might want to interpret this, and I'm going to talk about some of these now over the next few minutes by showing you a few videos taken from my phone explaining what I did in response to this task. This example I'm going to show you is just one possible interpretation of this task, and I hope, and your teachers hope, that you might find other ways to interpret it as well. But if you do find it difficult, or you'd rather just follow from my example, that's fine. Right, so let's begin. Firstly, this task is going to require you to do editing. Now, I recommend you download one of these two apps. This is Snapseed. You can see it here on the Google Play Store, which of course is for Android devices, but it's also on the Apple App Store, which means it's also available for iOS, and it's free. This is VSCO, and it's also available on Google Play and Apple Store, and again, it's also free, and both of them should allow you to do what I'm going to recommend you do. But I'm actually going to use Snapseed, so if you have a choice between the two, get Snapseed. The other thing that I want to show you before we go on is a couple of images that might inspire you. So firstly, this is a photograph by a photographer called Andreas Gursky, and it's actually a kind of a composite of lots of different photographs taken in a supermarket in America, and it's actually one of Time magazine's 100 most influential photographs ever. I'm just going to read a little bit about it. It may seem ironic that a photograph of cheap goods would set a record for the most expensive contemporary photograph ever sold, but Gursky's 99 cent is far more than a visual inventory. In a single, large-scale image, digitally stitched together from multiple images taken in a 99-cent store in LA, the seemingly endless rows of stuff with shoppers' heads floating anonymously above the merchandise more closely resemble abstract or impressionist painting than contemporary photography. So if you're really interested in this amazing image, I suggest you read the rest of this, and you can even look more into Gursky's work. He had an exhibition at Hayward Gallery not so long ago, the first exhibition there after it reopened. Another image I wouldn't mind showing you is this photograph, which was circulated in the UK press back when, before lockdown was declared, but when it became clear that this pandemic was going to be pretty serious, and people were panic buying and doomsday prepping, or whatever you want to call it. And this heartbreaking picture of an old man in a supermarket aisle looking at his shopping list and realizing that he's not going to get anything. Is quite an inspiring picture, and I thought you might want to look at it and respond to it with your own work this week. Right, so let me talk through what I actually did myself responding to this. I'm going to switch now to my Finder here and share that. Here we go. So the first video will be this one. So let's see if I can make this full screen. So I went to the supermarket a few weeks back and took my phone with me, and I was photographing all sorts of stuff really. I was looking for colour, repetition, pattern, and emptiness, gaps, any signs that kind of tell the story about this pandemic that we're all experiencing. And I started messing around with panoramas. I don't know if everyone has the capability to do them, but they're quite fun and worth having a go at. And as you can see, I was moving backwards and forwards a little bit as I was taking these panoramas. It was causing some quite interesting distortion. And the fact that these images were kind of long and thin, you know, like a landscape, kind of gave me an idea actually. And so what I did was, using these photographs, I then kind of stitched them together to make a new shelf. And I did this using an app called Layout. So I kind of took all of my panoramas, as you can see, and I stacked them on top of each other, just like you would normally with shelves. So this is the Layout app. It's made by Instagram, and it works really well with Instagram. And here I am. I'm just picking the photos from my photo album I created. The ones that the panoramas are the ones that I think would work the best. Now you don't have to do panoramas. You could of course do individual objects and then, you know, make it kind of a 3x3 9 photo grid or anything really. And as you can see, once you've dropped the photographs in, you can kind of tweak the layers. You can zoom in or zoom out. You can flip stuff. You can turn them upside down. All sorts of weird stuff. So once you've got everything in the right place, you have to save that, which as you can see is that button on the top right. Let's see if I can get out of this. Okay, and then the final stage in the process is to use an app like Snapseed or VSCO to edit your layout composition and create something interesting. So what I did here was I went into Snapseed and I opened a photograph of an empty shelf. So you can see me here. I go to my little Groceries album and I scroll up and I'm looking for an empty shelf. There on the left in the middle, I find one. I click on it and it opens it up. Now what I decided I wanted to do was to take my crazy composite photo and expose it on top. So I don't know if I can just pause it there. Yes, I can. So yeah, it is. If I just hold there, is that going to go away? Yes, it is. So I don't know if you can see, but at the bottom of the screen there, I've clicked on the Tools tab, and then there's this big list of tools, kind of like a 4x4 grid of tools, and near the bottom left-hand corner next to Vignette is a tool called Double Exposure, and that is what you're going to use to mash your images together. Okay, so I click on it, and now I have the option again to click on that little image with a plus next to it, and that lets me open a second image. So I'm going to put one on top of the other like this. So again, I'm going to my little Groceries album. Always useful to create an album if you're taking lots of photographs, because it puts everything in one easy to find place. And as you can see straight away, the picture has kind of come in a transparent way. So now I'm going, using this icon in the middle at the bottom, I'm kind of going through the different effects, and I find one, I think here. Yes, I find one here that I like. I like the dark shadows there. And I actually decided to use those shadows as a kind of border. So I kind of pinched my top photo and I was like moving it around and resizing it. And that's pretty much what I did. After that, I just went down to the bottom right. I saved it as a copy, because you don't want to save the original. And that's what I did. So as I said, it's not essential that you copy the way that I interpreted this task, but if you don't have many ideas yourself, that's of course what you can do. And just to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the lesson, if you're being taught by Miss Stewart or Miss Barrett or me, you still send your work to your normal class teacher, because that's who's going to set you the work on Satchel 1. So if you're confused at all, just go on Satchel 1 like you normally do and submit using Satchel 1, and it will go to the right person. Okay, it doesn't matter who's teaching you or who's delivering the session. Okay, brilliant. Good luck, and speak to you soon. I hope you're all doing well.